Picture the moment. Your kid sits you down at the kitchen table. They've found a place, it's perfect. And then comes the part they've been nervous about. They're short on the deposit. And something in you just softens. You're already doing the sums in your head. You're already reaching for your phone to move the money across. Because that's what a parent does. But before you transfer a single dollar, there's a question almost nobody stops to ask. Not can I help my kid? The real question is, what will helping actually cost me? You are not alone in this. Parents helping their kids into a home has quietly become one of the biggest forces in Australian property. It even has a nickname, the Bank of Mum and Dad. And it is not small. Digital Finance Analytics and the Productivity Commission put the Bank of Mum and Dad somewhere between the 5th and 9th biggest home lender in the entire country. Here's how much parents are handing over. According to Mozo's Bank of Mum and Dad report from 2025, the average gift towards a deposit is just over $74,000. $74,000 gifted. And here's the shift. Back in 2021, only a third of parents gave without expecting it back. Today, it's 3/4. It has stopped being a loan. And you can see why parents feel they have to step in. Since 2019, Australian house prices have jumped by more than 50%. Saving a deposit went from hard to almost impossible. Look at what that did to the deposit. 5 years ago, a 20% deposit was around $129,000. Today, it's over $195,000, $66,000 more. So the instinct to help is completely understandable. But here's the uncomfortable truth most people never say out loud. The way a lot of parents help can quietly put their own retirement at risk. Mozo found something that should stop you cold. Around 3% of parents who helped funded that gift with a credit card or a personal loan. They went into debt to give their kid a deposit. Think about that. Borrowing at high interest in your 60s to help buy a home they'll hold for decades. That is not a leg up. That's 2 people underwater instead of 1. And here's the part that really matters. Your kid has 30 or 40 years to recover from a money mistake. You don't. Your retirement doesn't get a second run. There's no do-over on that. You've probably heard the line. You can't pour from an empty cup. On the family home, it feels like there's endless equity sitting in there, but equity isn't cash, and you still have to live. Now here's where it gets interesting, because there's a smarter way to give the exact same money. And it comes down to one thing, the order you do it in. Picture your daughter. On her own, the bank says she can borrow enough for a $700,000 home. That's her limit. That's what she can genuinely afford on her income. Then you tell her you're chipping in $100,000. What happens next? She doesn't buy the 700 place. She starts looking at homes worth $1 million. Your gift just moved the goalposts. So she stretches. Bigger house, bigger mortgage, bigger repayments for the next 30 years. Your $100,000 didn't ease the pressure. It became the down payment on a load she couldn't carry on her own. Now run it the other way. She buys the $700,000 home she could always afford. She settles. It's hers. And then after all that, you gift her the $100,000. Same money. Completely different result. That $100,000 comes straight off her loan. Her repayments shrink. Her interest over the years drops right down. She's ahead, not stretched. Just from changing the order. And underneath it sits a truth anyone in finance will tell you. Money you didn't work for is the easiest money in the world to blow. A gift that lets them stretch further isn't always a kindness. Which leads to something that surprises a lot of people. The most powerful help you can give your kid often isn't cash at all. And the Mozo numbers actually back that up. Nearly a quarter of parents now help simply by letting their kid live at home rent-free while they save. The average cost to those parents? A bit over $6,000 a year. And here's why that can beat a check. A young person handed a big lump sum with no budgeting habits can end up more stressed, not less. The deposit lands. The skills to manage it don't. But the kid who spent 2 years living at home, watching every dollar building that deposit themselves, they learn the muscle. Rent-free years plus real money habits beats a handout almost every time. Now let's talk about protecting the money you do give, because there are two traps here that catch good, generous parents completely off guard, and both are avoidable if you see them coming. The first is going guarantor. It sounds like the easy option. No cash changes hands. But when you go guarantor, your own home becomes the security. If your kid can't pay, the bank looks at you. That's why guarantor deals are quietly falling out of favor. You're not co-signing a form. You're putting the roof over your own head on the line for someone else's loan. That is a big ask. The second trap is the one nobody wants to imagine. You gift your child $100,000. A few years later, their relationship breaks down, and half of your gift can walk straight out the door. Because once it's a no-strings-attached gift, in a separation, that money can land in the property pool. It gets split. Your family's money ends up funding someone else's fresh start. It happens all the time. Here's how families protect against that. Instead of a gift, some put a proper written loan agreement in place. It's documented, it's clear, and it means the money stays recoverable and stays in the family. It feels unromantic, putting it in writing for your own kid. But treating it like a real loan on paper is often the single smartest thing a parent can do to protect everyone involved. So let's bring it all together. The instinct to help your kid into a home is a good one. The love behind it was never the problem. The problem is help that only protects one future, because the best kind of help protects two futures at once, theirs and yours. It gets them into a home without quietly hollowing out the retirement you spent 40 years building. Think back to that kitchen table. Before you reach for your phone, the smart move isn't giving more. It's giving in the right order, in the right form, with the right paperwork behind it. That's why the parents who get this right tend to do a few things. They let the kid buy what they can afford first. They value the rent-free years. They put it in writing, and they protect their own future too. Do it that way, and you don't have to choose. Your kid gets their start. You keep your future. That's not just generosity. That's generosity that actually lasts. Quick one before we finish. Everything here is general information only. It's not financial, legal, or tax advice. For your own situation, it's always worth getting proper advice that actually fits you and your family. If this cleared a few things up, do me a favor. Give it a like. It helps this kind of content reach more Australians who need it. Subscribe and turn on notifications so the next one finds you. See you in the next one.